Hi, I'm Dr. Irv Ehrenberg. I'm the director of the Killing Vincent Project, and I wrote this book, Killing Vincent, the Man, the Myth, and the Murder. It's a research book in which I tried to demonstrate and prove that Vincent van Gogh did not commit suicide. I never believed that Vincent committed suicide when I did my initial research on Vincent over 30 years ago. It just did not make sense to me as a doctor that he would shoot himself in the belly, walk back from at least a mile from where he allegedly shot himself, climb 17 stairs up to his room in a hotel, and not ask for help. It just didn't make sense to me. What you're about to see is a forensic reenactment and simulations of all the possible scenarios in which Vincent van Gogh could possibly have committed suicide. And what I've done is I obtained the same model Lafouche 7mm pin-fired folding trigger revolver that is alleged to have been used in his shooting death. That revolver was the most common revolver in Northern Europe in the second half of the 19th century, and because a same model revolver was found all rusted in a field where Vincent was alleged to have been shot about 60 years after the fact. So I chose that weapon as the most likely weapon that he used. And because in 1890 black powder bullets were all that were really available, smokeless powder had not yet really been developed fully. The only available information in the historical record regarding Vincent's wound describes a pea-sized entry wound surrounded by very colorful rings, concentric rings, of purple, brown, and tan color. What's important here is that this very vivid description does not mention any carbon black that would be consistent with a powder burn of any size or shape. Black powder is the same gunpowder that is used in cannons and was used in all types of weapons until the middle of the 19th century. And characteristically, over half of the black powder that's ignited to propel the bullet to its target will burn up. The other half remains powder, and because of the heat coming out of the muzzle of the gun, that black powder is red hot, and it will burn whatever it is close to. So the closer the muzzle of the gun is to the target or the skin, it will create a black powder tattoo. It will burn the skin and impregnate the powder into the skin, creating what's known as a powder burn. The closer the muzzle of the gun is to the target, the larger the black powder burn will be. For those of you who watch CSI and like forensics, the powder burn was the only thing that was really readily available to the police or any criminologist back at in that time frame of the 1890s and earlier. So the police could tell how close a person was to shoot someone by the size of the powder burn. The closer they were to that person or the target, the larger the powder burn. If there was no powder burn, the police could assume that the person was shot at some distance greater than several feet. So in this case with Vincent, in order for him to self-inflict his own wound, he would have had to have shot himself up close and personal, in which case the black powder bullet discharge would have created a fairly significant powder burn. And in the reported case of the wound that we know about from Vincent's mortal wound, there was no description of any powder burn by anybody ever. Therefore, we have to conclude, as did Dr. Maio, that it was not possible for Vincent to self-inflict his wound. As you can see from these videos, the closer you are to the target, the bigger the powder burn. The farther away, the powder burn goes away or is not visible, or you might see just a tiny amount of what's called stippling. Stippling is a powder burn, but it's not an actual burn. It's just impregnating just a few specks of the powder into the skin at a greater distance. And sometimes it almost can wipe off. It doesn't really go deep into the skin. This video is designed to support and prove that Dr. Vincent de Maio's analysis of the wound that was the mortal wound that killed Vincent van Gogh was not self-inflicted. It was shot by someone else at a greater distance than that which he could do himself. So because there was no powder burn, it corroborates Dr. de Maio's analysis that whoever shot Vincent shot him at a greater distance than he could twist or contort into and do himself.